Brother Polight, welcome back.
Glad to be back.
Made a big splash last time.
Big time. I heard we over 1 million.
Yeah, we got over 1 million views combined, and each clip was getting over 100,000, sometimes 200,000.
That's what's up.
What was the effect on your end when you were on Vlad TV?
Huge response, great response. People were happy to see me on the platform, sharing information and adding diversity to it. Your setting.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you coming through. So, recently you had an arrest in LA.
Yeah.
What was the whole situation about?
It's a racial profiling. I got reason to believe it probably goes beyond that, but I don't like to chime in on conspiracy theories much. However, it was my second day in a row being pulled over by LAPD and physically assaulted or encroached, in which case on both occasions I was told I'm a smart guy or I should know I'm intelligent enough to know why this is happening. So that kind of makes me feel like the events weren't isolated, being that it was back-to-back days. But on the second day, it was actually a lot more physical. I just hopped out the car to pick up and send a Western Union to a family member. And then no sooner than I got out the car, the sister that I was with was grabbed up. I come out to ask what happened. I'm grabbed up, I'm thrown on the wall. Typical LAPD stuff.
Okay.
You know,
and what was the reason that they gave you at the time?
There was no reason whatsoever.
Really?
We wasn't like arrested and brought in. We was cuffed and thrown to the wall. They did say I fit the description of somebody they was looking for. And they made a phone call to the person that they was looking for. And the sister I was with happened to pick up the phone. So they figured we must be the people they was looking for. But it was pretty lame. The story changed several times. I mean, we presently filed a lawsuit.
You're filing a lawsuit against LAPD?
Yeah, in short. So we got them pretty good.
Okay.
Luckily for me, a fan of mine actually videotaped the incident. We've been reluctant to share that one to see how forthcoming police would be about what actually took place. So in the event they choose to lie about it, we'll have the actual video evidence to confirm what took place.
I mean, is this something you've gone through multiple times?
Not really. Ever since I moved out the hood, I haven't had these issues. It just so happened I had to kind of go into a hood to send the Western Union that time of night because I was flying out to go to Ohio because I had a toy drive I was doing at America, like one of America's first projects. I think it actually is in Cleveland, Ohio, the oldest projects.
Oldest projects in America?
Yeah, ever erected in Cleveland, Ohio.
And what's it called?
I forgot the name of it, but I was supposed to fly out over there to Cleveland, Ohio to do a toy drive, and they killed that whole ambition because I also had an emergency I had to send out money for and receive. And Western Union was the only means because the person I had to deal with doesn't deal with bank accounts. You know, you got some family members who just kind of Stone Age. So that caused me to have to drive in that time and in that neighborhood to send it out, and I wound up dealing with that situation.
Well, in Cleveland, there is the Outhwaite Homes.
There you go. That might be
That's
one.
it? It was built in 1935.
Yeah, I think that's it right there.
Projects from 1935.
Right.
Wow.
And so our children are still subject to destitution or extreme poverty over there. And it was incumbent that we do a toy drive for the purposes of opening up dialogue with the parents, and in doing so, be able to build with them about opportunities that they can have financially to kind of transcend those depths of poverty that they deal with on a day-to-day basis. So that was the intention. The show still went on. I missed it, but the members of my community still made sure that it took place. So it worked out.
I feel you. I feel it's too bad you couldn't go.
Yeah.
So now you're filing a lawsuit.
Definitely.
You know, before you actually moved out of the hood, what do you think was your worst situation with police?
Just living in the neighborhood. It's a situation. If I'm running home to catch the Knicks game, why are you running? You must be running for something. You know, so-called being mistaken or fitting the profile or description of somebody they're looking for. It's just horrible relations with people who have no understanding of the culture and the people because they live somewhere else. They don't live in the community to have an understanding of the people that they're enforcing policy on.
Right. I mean, because one of the complaints about the way policing works in America is that not 99% of the time, the people policing the neighborhoods do not come from those neighborhoods.
Exactly.
They're brought in from other areas.
That's right.
Why? Is it because people in those neighborhoods don't become police officers?
I think it's a combination. See, and what I teach about common customs. And common customs is a calculus system that precipitates culture. By process of differentiation and integration, we're able to find the value of smaller things and factorials of those equivalents, thus granting us the least adverse effects from the decisions that we make. And all that merely means is that when we see things going wrong and we see things also going in our favor, it's incumbent that the people in that generation find the right combination of things as far as solutions so that the generations to come won't be subject to the same circumstances. So when you have common customs, which is a calculative system that precipitates culture, one thing that we would learn that we must do is contribute more to the municipal system. So we have to conduct more municipal votes. That is to say that in many populations like Ferguson, there's an over 70% black populace. However, about 5 people or 5 figureheads in law enforcement that are actually black, as far as even the judicial system, as far as the district attorney is concerned, the policeman, the chief, and so forth and so on. So we find that we're not involving ourselves in municipal elections, and therefore the contrast between those enforcing policy based on ethnicity and those who are subject to the policy is so contradictory that you have to, at some point or the other, look at the people and ask, where's their political cognizance? So it's half and half. You know, the system shouldn't allow it in some sorts, but ultimately, like I said, it's incumbent that the people of the community become more politically aware of the circumstances that they be subject to in light of their absence as far as responding politically.
Well, for example, in the 1800s, there was a lot of Irish immigrants. And the Irish were considered the underclass at certain times in U.S. history. So they banded together and realized that they need to start putting their own in public office, putting their own in the various government systems and so forth. And in fact, a lot of them actually went into law enforcement. So when you see like the stereotypical cop is, Sergeant O'Malley, that came from that time because so many Irish went into law enforcement and became the chiefs and so forth and started to gain their political power that way. But when you look at certain black communities, no one wants to be a cop. Like no one aspires to be the chief of police.
Of course.
In Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy, in Brownsville, even though not everyone's a criminal. Like people who have nothing to do with crime at all still don't aspire to be a police officer.
Well, the problem is also the policy. So no matter how much black people we can get into a position of office, we have to consider the policies that they will have to enforce, because no matter what the race is that's in office or in position, they have to follow policy.
Yeah.
And that's where we find ourselves in a quandary as far as whether or not we're going to participate in officeship, or if we're going to vote, we have to always consider that. Like for instance, we had a black president that is the commander-in-chief. He is the head of all law enforcement.
Right.
Right? So when we complain about what's taking place on the police level, we look at the commander-in-chief. The former commander-in-chief was black. And then we ask ourselves, with a man that is the head of all law enforcement, we were subject to some of the worst instances of police brutality. So that would make many of us reluctant to want to become policemen, because it's not just a matter of what percentage of us that is black that's in office. It's a matter of what policy we would have to enforce once we get into office. So the scrutiny has to be on policy. And then there we go again. We have to raise our political cognizance and know how to lobby or get somebody to lobby on our behalf to be in positions that would affect us most.